Hello and welcome to part 4 of our speaker series, helping you improve your public speaking. This video should be relatively short. It's about selecting speech topics. Now, the TLDR for this is just pick things that you actually have a genuine interest in and that you would actually want to craft a speech about, speak about, answer questions on, research, talk to people about. I think the biggest mistake that people make, particularly in competitive public speaking, but really just when choosing to give a speech, is that they pick things that they think sound impressive or that will impress someone, a teacher, a parent, an audience, a professor, whatever. Now, obviously, if you are like an academic or something, or you're doing a TED Talk where you've been specifically asked to talk about a specific thing, that's not really what this is about. But if you're doing a public speaking competition and you can speak on really anything, or you've been given some prompts or some ideas, but you have a lot of scope, don't talk about what you think someone else would be impressed by or would want to hear. Talk about what you are interested in, because there is nothing more interesting to listen to than enthusiasm. People love listening to people who are genuinely enthusiastic and excited about their subject, whatever it is. I personally love listening to experts in weird things discuss that thing just with other experts because the way they talk about it is so interesting. You listen to comedians talk about each other, even if it's like Joe Rogan interviewing Bill Burr, or you listen to like politicians just discussing politics, or CrossFit athletes just discussing CrossFit. The the level of interest and enthusiasm for their niche little world is I find genuinely magnetic, even if I don't have a particularly strong interest in those things. So pick something that you want to talk about. And within that, I mean, there's not too much left to say in this video, except that if you are struggling and you're like, well, I don't know what my interests are. I mean, really? You don't have any? You know, what are your hobbies? What do you do with your spare time? What do you think about? What do you and your friends talk about? What do you want to do when you're older? Why? What would you be doing if you could do anything right now? Why? Um, but beyond that, I mean, if you find that you're consistently struggling for speech topics, but you like public speaking, you know, books, like read, in particular, read non-fiction, I think, and try to read good quality non-fiction. There's always places you can go for recommendations. You know, read the news, follow the news, and try to follow like good quality news, not, you know, like blogs masquerading as news. Things like Financial Times, The Economist, the New York Times. Listen to podcasts. I listen to a great variety of podcasts. There's a bajillion podcasts out there on every different thing. Listen to variety and see what you find interesting. Think about your hobbies, talk to your friends, see what conversations you've been in that interest you. There are things out there that interest you. You might have to do a little bit of searching, but they are there. And then lastly, just a couple tips that weren't in the 4 bad speeches video. Now, if you haven't seen the 4 bad speeches video, I would highly recommend that you watch that before you select topics for a competition, because you might find that your topic kind of locks you into one of those 4 bad speeches, and you do want to try and avoid these cliches as much as possible. A couple of things that weren't in that video that I thought would be worth mentioning now is, do try to surprise the audience a little bit. You know, if you're going to talk about, for example, mental health in front of a fairly like progressive audience, talking about how mental health is important is kind of what everyone already believes. It's probably what everyone's expecting you to say. It's not that interesting. So try to maybe say something a little bit less pedestrian. So maybe, for example, that you think that mental health is overblown, or that we need to talk more about personal responsibility in mental health. Obviously, if you don't believe that, you don't have to say it, but try to talk about something where the audience is going to be like, oh, didn't see that coming, or oh, hadn't thought about that. Try to get the audience engaged by not just saying what they're already thinking. Aim for something original, or at the very least, an original take on something. Try to express, when you're giving a speech about your opinion on something, it would be more interesting if that opinion wasn't the opinion of everyone else in the room. Next time, we're going to go into a deeper dive on why you should not write a speech. You should craft a speech, construct a speech. I've mentioned this before, and it is the most common advice I give out in public speaking, and it's also the most commonly ignored advice that I give. So, going to go into a bit of a deeper dive in that. Thanks so much for watching. Until next time, good luck with your public speaking.